I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BC, joined by Amber, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're ranking all 75 Dominaria United commanders from worst to best, and then plugging them into our master list of every commander ranked.
And we're going to get into that really quickly, but first we have to shout out our patrons, who we love as much as we can without making them uncomfortable. Thank you all for the direct support. This channel also sponsored by Moxfield.com. There will be an ad somewhere in this video for Moxfield. Put your time code guesses. If anyone is within 30 seconds this time, because this video is so long, you will get 1 heart from the Nitpicking Nerds in a pinned comment.
And a very special happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today. Amber, calm down, it's just birthdays. Before we get into it, we just got to tell you what our criteria is. We're giving each commander up to 50 points, 10 each for power, fun, artwork, coolness, and uniqueness in that order. All things that contribute to what makes a commander great. It's not just about power. Go somewhere else for that type of list, but we got to get into the very worst commander from the set. We're doing commander products too. It's Nail Avazoa Aeronaut, ranked 1298 overall. Yikes. Above Greel and below Old Rutstein. This is part of a cycle of 2-color domain commanders that really don't actually work well in the format because you can really almost never get to 5 domains. So this basically doesn't even draw you a card. It just looks at some cards and you put one on top. It's really bad.
Yeah, I want to say that we're not going to be reading these commanders. There are 75 of them. Each will be displayed on screen above and below what it's above and below, so you can look at it, read it if you need to pause the video. There's too much for us to read. If we read all of them, it would add a solid 15, 16 minutes to this video.
We're trying to help you out.
We don't need that. You don't need that. We don't need that. It's already going to be a long video. This card is poop.
Yes, let's go on. We got to keep moving. Bortuck Bone Rattles coming in at 1283 above Linessa. Yikes, that card has grandeur and it's this low. And below Quende.
Again, the only thing this thing has going for it is it has some nice art. A lot of these stained glass arts look really good. Some of the originals look good, but the stained glass overall, very good. 2 colors. We only have access to 2 colors of land types, especially in this one. We don't even get to play like Yavimaya or Urborg to give us an extra type. No, this is the worst actually. The card does nothing.
It's raised dead on a 6-drop. That has almost 0 power, literally. Next, Baird, Argivian Recruiter, 1262 is his rank, above Razia and below Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. He gives you a 1/1 if you pump up a creature at your end step. Oh boy, the only thing that's going for this, stained glass carrying hard.
Yeah, super duper hard, because again, the card doesn't do anything. 1/1 a turn is not an effect that's good, and just jump through a hoop just to get there. If I got 1/1 on my end step, I don't know if I would give this more than a 1 power besides that.
Yeah, we don't really count when your creature has no power, there's not a ton of fun to be had because it doesn't do anything. How could you have fun with making a 1/1?
It's a great point. Yeah, almost anything that doesn't have a lot of power often doesn't have a lot of fun. There is exceptions to that rule, but it's a good rule of thumb. Up next, we have Zaro Janin, Scion of Efrava, above Empress Galena, below Granastro at 1209. Again, we're back to the silly domain. It doesn't work in 2-color decks whatsoever. You have to jump through all these hoops, and even when you jump through the hoop, it's not worth it. Carried hard by its amazing stained glass art.
Oh, it's so good. A lot of the art is great in these new sets, so we don't spend a ton of time, but the stained glass we might touch on a little bit. Let's go to Torrey Diavenant, Fury Rider at 1190. We're getting up there. Above Denick, below Euphemia. She's going to pump your attackers, all of them, then untap the white ones, and then give the red ones trample. So there's like a little bit of something here. It's the strongest creature we've seen so far.
It's a Lord. I mean, this thing is not very good. It only pumps attackers. I mean, even if this would be about in the same position, even if it was your creatures get +1/+1 always. So that should say a lot about how bad this card actually is.
Right, and for coolness, we are grading the lore of these cards, and you'll notice we haven't even touched on it. None of these first ones have any lore. If they have lore, we'll basically tell you whatever it is. There's just like nothing for these. I think Torrey's lore is a human knight.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into coolness. The coolness of the card can be, how the character looks on the card, how the character's represented,
what they've done
on the card, what they've done. It's all the stuff. It's the character. The coolness is the coolness of the character. We don't know this character. It doesn't look that cool, so we're out. Up next, we have Ohabi of Caloria, above Goshintai of Boundless Vigor, and below Kalemne at 1178. This is Archer Tribal, but archers are bad. That's pretty much all there is to it. This is one of those tribes that if archers get good, there's potential here. But unfortunately, archers are bad for now. And until we get a bunch of good archers going forward, it's just going to remain bad.
Yeah, the untapping is nice. This is a case of like the commander is competent and usable, but none of the creatures in the deck are. There's probably like 3 good archers that actually deal damage to something. So too bad. So sad for Ohabi. Maybe we'll revisit it at some point. We have some lore. She was the elven ruler of the island of Argenti. She was good at hunting, and she rallied a rebellion, so good for you.
That's still a 1. Still pretty
Yeah.
pretty boring. What's next?
Let's gotta go to Najal, the Stormrunner. This card was designed for limited. It's 1169 overall above Hikari and below Niembi. This thing is a 2 for power. It's a 5/4 that can copy spells if you attack with it. It's just so expensive. You have to defend this thing. There's not a ton of stuff to do. It's got numbers. It's higher than some of the other ones we've done so far. I guess all of them so far. There's just not much here.
Yeah, I mean, this card's much better if it just does this ability once per turn. Having to get in for an attack makes it a lot rougher, takes away from it. It's kind of fun. You can actually, start copying spells, start popping off. This could have a big storm turn I could see happening, especially if you got something like a Jessica's Will.
At least it gives your sorceries flash, and, if you maybe throw some double strike or, you double its power, then copy it, it's going to be really hard to block with Trample or something.
Yeah, no lore again, so we'll move on to Tatiova, Steward of Tides, above Thalion, below Ashling the Pilgrim at 1158. I really don't like this card at all. I think Tatiova is absolutely terrible. It just puts your lands into dangers and makes them 3/3s. They fly as long as you control Tatiova. But once you have 7 lands, and I just don't want my lands to be 3/3 flyers. That doesn't do that much for me. It's fine. It's okay, but it's weak.
The problem is that they stay creatures. They're so vulnerable. If it was maybe just make a 3/3 flyer for the turn, you can turn this into a really weird deal 12 damage in the air, pass. Now my creatures are back here in my lands, but they're just stuck and they're going to get swept up by random stuff, and you can't stay ahead when you do that.
Oh, and did you know she's a merfolk? Now,
hold
on.
I did.
She actually studies forest magic.
Now that's one heck of a bio. And she ruins commander games because sometimes she makes 10-minute turns with the other version.
Because this version does not do that.
This version is going to make your game go real quick.
She looks really cool. I've always loved Tatiova's look, but I don't know.
I think they even improved her look for this one. They just nerfed the card.
Yeah, the power is way lower on this one than the last one.
She should stick to whatever magic she was learning before. Ayesha Tanaka, flashback legend. She's an armor. She's 1152 ranked, and she's above Ishii and below Captain Ripley Vance. So you want to suit up her power. She's going to maybe put some artifacts in play. She looks at the top 4. That's a nice little chunk. And then I don't know how often she's going to be unblockable because she cares about what your opponents have.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really control what they have, though. I will say one little cool synergy with this would be the thing
Genesis Chamber?
Genesis Chamber. So you're giving them artifacts so that this is unblockable. That's a nice little synergy with the deck. But overall, not super powerful. Still the most powerful we've seen so far.
There's stuff you can do with this one. This one is not uninspired.
No, it's not. This actually is a unique effect and working in its, I was going to say mysterious ways, but it's not really that mysterious. You know exactly what she does.
Yeah, she puts out equipments. Good for you. She was the armor of Tetsuo Umezawa, so that guy, super important character in Magic lore, and we'll get to him later. Mentor to Kai Takahashi. I don't think he got a new card, but I think he might have an old card. Zira, who we'll get to, tried to infect him with her insect brood. Gross. And she could apparently destroy artifacts and enchantments with only her willpower, which I thought was cool enough that we had to bump up both this coolness and the original vanilla creature's coolness, which gave her an extra 30 in the list.
Oh my god. What is that? A mana rock? Brrr, dead.
That's what that reminds me of, Carrie. And it's back then, too. It would have, the same type of special
Just imagine,
effects.
sword. Breaks in half.
Wow, that wasn't a great reenactment. I don't think we need to we can't top that.
Yeah, let's move on to Miria, Urborg Haunt, above Rem Carlos, below Lagrella at 1149. I really don't like this card at all. I think the design's kind of bad. A creature has to have died on your side, and then this has to hit, and then you can reanimate. It's like you jump through all these hoops, and what do you end up with? The same creature you already had on the board back on the board. What?
You've kind of flicker something. It's like build your own flicker, and then to me that just makes this look so unappealing in a lot of different ways. It's not nothing. It's got power. It's on the scale. It's not a vanilla creature. It's just so unexciting and just low impact.
Yeah, exactly. This thing it's uninspired. This is an uninspired one where it's just I look at it and I go, why?
I think this is one of the disappointments from that pre-con. We were, we're expecting these cool new cards, and then one of them's Moira. Who's going to build a Moira deck? Let me know.
I mean, Moira also feels like they designed a card and it was never going to be a legend because it's bad. It's like sometimes they make bad cards, but then when we're putting in a legend one, make it a legend. It's like okay,
it's a legend pre-con.
I guess.
All right, on to Rulik Mons, Warren Chief. He's ranked 1126 above Seki and below Caliphie. This one attacks and puts a land or a goblin into play. It sort of cares about goblins. It's I get that the Mons is a goblin name. This is just another one. There's nothing here. There's very little to go off of. Art is fantastic as usual with these.
Yeah, exactly. And this one is all about the stained glass type. This one is one of the great ones. It looks so good.
Wasted on this, you can argue. The only thing I know about this creature is that they're related to Pashalik Mons, but no one tells me how.
Nephew.
Great nephew.
Nope, regular nephew.
Just regular, they're centuries apart, just nephew.
Regular nephew.
Yes. Tobias. Tobias has the honor of being the worst ranked commander prior to this list. I think he got bumped up, though. This is Tobias Doomed Conqueror, though, ranked 1099 above the Prismatic Piper and below Patron of the Kitsune. This design is really weird. He wants to be killed, basically, and then you get a bunch of 2/2 zombies.
Yeah, I mean, this card's fine. It just replaces your board, gives you board wipe insurance. You get to hold it up. You want to play this with a bunch of flash so that you can hold both this up and other things. It's a weird card. It does something. I like the board wipe insurance. It really makes it so if you're a go-wide deck, which you'll probably be with this, you just wait. Okay, all right, it's about to wipe the board. I'll put this out, and we get a ton of creatures. And now I basically wasn't wiped because I have these 2/2 tokens that I'm sure my deck can use in some way.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like face-up information. So, and then some board wipes aren't going to do anything, and then some of them people won't even cast because he's just there. So there's probably some powerful things, unlike original Tobias. He's basically a conquistador. He battled some pirates. Supposedly his corpse is cursed to dance on the corpses of his dead crewmates. Who knows? That seems like a rumor to me.
That's an awful big curse.
Why is it dancing? Who's got a sense of humor over there?
I don't know. I have no clue, BZ.
We don't know Tobias, but we know about Rasputin.
We do know about Rara Rasputin, who is above Tygum and below Adriana at 1067. This card is so weird. It can make some creatures or it can make some mana. It is just beyond weird to me. I don't really understand what this card is going for and what it's trying to do at all.
It's a callback to the last Rasputin. I know this character led some campaigns against the goblins and like ended the Dark Ages. I just don't know how these two cards like directly relate other than the dream counter thing.
Yeah, they literally both have dream counters, which obviously was lit just for a callback. 10 for the art. Thank you, Rasputin, for having cool art.
And, oh, I forgot this lore. Married to the Russian queen.
Yes, very much so.
Perfect. Orca, Siege Demon, above Maya, below Kresh, at ranked 1031. It's basically a giant jury. It starts out as a 5/5, and then when it dies, you shoot somebody equal to its power.
Yeah, oh my god. My problem with this thing is why does it cost so much mana?
It's pretty expensive.
You know that Dreadhorde Butcher has haste and costs 2 mana and is basically the same thing?
I guess it's a 1/1, and then Jury is like the same thing too.
I don't even understand. Like why this card costs 7 mana. This effect does not need to cost this much. It comes with some power. I get it. You can divide it anywhere. It's not nothing. It doesn't do literally nothing, but I really hate this card.
I want to like double its power. Once you start doubling and doubling, maybe 2 or 3 times, then you're in business. You can just one-shot people. But that's true of some of the other commanders too. So I didn't really know anything about Orca, and I just read this paragraph, and it was so weird. So I had to give it some coolness points, which bumped the original Orca up 32. So let's see. While residing in her lair, a large cave with no exits, Orca took the form of a lake of smoldering tar. When she was called out by her master, she took the form of a gigantic bald woman, but could survive grievous injuries like being cut in half or being beheaded by reverting to her tar form and reforming. She turns into tar, and then she can't... So, like, is she a shapeshifter? She's choosing a gigantic bald woman to turn into?
Yeah, isn't that bald woman from the... I remember that because it's that weird art.
That's Lady Orca, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know what her deal is. Why is she choosing these things?
Like, I don't know. If I had to choose 2 random things to become, I don't think I would pick giant bald woman and tar. All right, let's move on before we think about that anymore to the Peregrine Dynamo above Nath and below Kefnet the Mindful at 995.
3 digits.
All right, this thing copies abilities, and it would fit into like every single deck, but it can't do it for commanders, so I hate this card. I hate it so much. Obviously, you're going to play a Legends deck where you have all activated, triggered abilities. I don't know.
But you're colorless?
But you're colorless, so you don't really have a deck here. It's a card that's meant for the 99, but also not meant to work with your commander. This design is so butts.
Yeah, we're only ranking these as commanders. This is ranking every commander, not ranking every 99 card. So it just absolutely stinks, and I'm surprised it made it this high. Let's go to Queen All in All of Ryudak, above Kadira and below Malcolm. She's a beefy gal. She's got a lot of power toughness if you go wide enough, and then she can make some extra tokens. I think 4 is the highest power we've seen so far. I don't even hate this. This might go in like the commander cube. Yeah,
this card, it's cheap. It's a big body for cheap. Gives you something else. It's, again, yeah, like you said, it's not terrible. This is still, we're still low on this list. These are still cards that we're not excited about, but we're getting better. They're getting stronger. We're more exciting.
It is a little bit more exciting. The only thing I know about Ruadak is it's a Llanowar Elfhame. which is basically learning nothing.
That is all I know too. All right, it's time for the Raven Man. And he's above Kaga and below Radiant at 975. This is a discard commander. And yikes, I don't think it's very good.
Payoff is minimal.
I don't think it's very fun. Yeah, you get 1/1 birds that can't even block for you. I don't know. This card is totally whatever. I mean, considering how cool the Raven Man was in lore and how interesting it was.
Like 10 years in the making.
And it was...
Yeah, he helped Liliana find the Chain Veil originally. Like this guy's like 10 years old. I think this artwork is like 10 years old, the original one. And so there's like this little paragraph. Liliana figured out that the Raven Man was actually Limdol while she was on Strixhaven, which I didn't know, which makes sense, I guess. She has access to more knowledge. Then she like returned to the Vesta State on Dominaria, and she had to fight off some Phyrexians who wanted this Limdol's ring thing, which is how he was talking to her. And then in the end, she was just like, "Nah, I don't need your stupid power, loser." And she beat the Phyrexians herself.
What happened with the Raven Man?
I think he's just like bound to the ring or something.
Oh, okay.
So he's trying to like get somebody to use it.
Oh, okay. It's like a weird like
a genie kind of.
Yeah, I
but
guess.
He's a bad genie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. Raven Man, not a very good Magic card. Has a lot of cool lore behind it.
Makes ravens.
Yes. Next, we have the 4th iteration of Rada. It's the Coalition Warlord above Haktos and below Sethron. This is just another one of those domain cards where you can't actually get enough domain. This is cool that it's a tap ability, but again, the hoop is too much. This card's just not very good.
Yeah, we're not here for the card. Rada actually has some lore, so that carries it way above those other cards that I've never seen before, those other characters. She, like, rips people's heads off and steps on people and just, like, cuts people apart with a sword. She's such a badass. This card, not really exemplary of that.
So she fights the Phyrexians, that's about it. And like BZ says, she steps on people, which a lot of people might like and might even take her coolness up for you.
Some people would increase the coolness for that.
Yes, I would agree. What is next, BZ?
It's General Marlhalt L's Dragon. This is his 2nd iteration as well. He's above Imrith and below Tetsuko, ranking in at 950. This is your Rampage commander. What your creatures get +3/+3 for each thing that blocks them. Is really cute. I think it's funny. But this guy is a nobody. He's a Nicol Bolas lackey. The only thing I know about him is he never let emotions control his thoughts. Well, good for you, buddy, I guess.
At least it does something. At least it makes your creatures hard to block. I will say that. And this
you need trample, though.
And this is unique because it's like, this is an actual like Rampage commander.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. You want trample. You also want ways to force blocks. Any of the lure effects are going to be awesome in this deck.
Yeah.
If you have a trampler, that if you have a 1/1 and you just lure it, get in, it's going to get through a ton of damage because you're just going to get pumped up.
Well, I'm picturing also a lure maybe with creatures can assign damage as though they weren't blocked.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, thanks for that. +30, die.
Yeah. And
there's stuff to do.
There is stuff to do. This deck actually is something you can build around. It's not very strong because most of the time what's going to happen if you don't get all the pieces together, you send in a small creature, they don't block it, and nothing happens because your commander doesn't do anything when the creatures aren't blocked.
No, that's the miracle of Rampage. What happens? Nothing, really.
Nothing.
You have to work around it.
Going on a rampage. Take 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll just not block it.
Next, Jasmine Boreal of the 7 above Zerlin and below Nissa at 943. She makes mana for creatures with no abilities, and your creatures with no abilities are pumped. I don't know. This card kind of just stinks, right? I mean,
they're trying so hard with this deck. It's hard. It's a tough line to cross because if you make them too good, they're just a tokens commander. And if you make them really care about like creatures that you play from your hand with no abilities, the deck sucks.
Yeah, exactly. That's the trouble with this deck. It's like, if you're just making a bunch of tokens, then I guess she's a +2/+2 Anthem.
Like, what's the point? Why not just play a token deck? Why does this card exist?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other side of it is you're casting the creatures, but the creatures have no abilities. And every creature that has no ability has no ability.
There's no way to get around that.
Creatures with no abilities don't do anything.
They can't do anything.
That's the card. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. There's a lot of like small little points that she gets. It's a pretty unique card. She was a pirate. I did not know that. With the Robaran Circle of 7, she prefers the druidic life, and guess what? She knows magic.
And guess what? We're moving on to another lady. This one is a lady of Ortaria, and it's above Anji, Maid of Dishonor, and below Katose at 929. Yet another commander where the problem isn't that it's not good or well designed. The problem is dwarves stink. There's not many good dwarves. You're going to be playing 7/7 dwarves in your deck because you won't have enough good dwarves, especially because we don't even get access to white, which has a lot of the good dwarves.
It has a bunch of the recent dwarves from like Kaladesh and all those sets, but now we just get this weird thing. We have to put lands in our graveyard, and also we're dwarf tribal, and then here's this card, I guess. I don't have any lore other than obviously she's some kind of dwarf goddess that they're looking up to.
She's an avatar, right? She's not even actually a goddess. She's a fake goddess.
Ooh, false idol.
False idol. Boo.
We don't give airtime to false idols on Nitpicking Nerds. So let's go to Beru, Worm Speaker, at 915 above Glacian, below Clane. Finally, a worm commander. We can give him +2 trample, and then we can make a worm reduced by the number or the biggest power bug worms. This is funny. I like this card. We've seen Beru before. He was the Fist of Krosa with the unplayable Grandeur ability. Now he's playable as a worm commander.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, worms are, again, pretty weak. We just don't have the access to the cards to make this strong. It's a commander that could scale and get stronger if worms get stronger, but I don't foresee that happening. They're always big, silly, overcosted cards, which is fine. That not every commander has to be broken and busted. This will be fun to build. Get all your silly little worms in there.
Get Wormcoil Engine in.
Get Wormcoil Engine, the actual only like good worm. Is there any?
Impervious Great Worm is gigantic. It has trample with this thing.
Yeah, and there's just not many. You can do the World Spine Worm.
Yeah. That's it.
Those are the worms. I mean, it makes
the rest is TBD. So like, you know, get creative, find out what other worms there are.
Yeah, exactly. And he has some decent art, and that's about it because there's not much to talk about here.
Okay, this is pretty much the first character that directly interacts with the actual story of Dominaria. It's Aaron, Benalia's Ruin above Geist of St. Draft, below Kothafed. He doesn't really do anything, though. He's Creature with Menace, and he can pump your team, which is not nothing. Repeated counters can add up over time. This thing's a really, really slow engine. But in the story, he's Danatha's, we'll get to, father, but he gets corrupted by Phyrexians, and she just straight up kills him.
Yeah, which is sad.
That's a bummer.
Imagine having to kill your dad.
She didn't even seem too sad about it. I didn't read the full story. I just know what happens.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Well, she killed her dad, and that's really sad. His name is Aaron with one A, which is not the correct spelling. It's A-A-Ron.
That is how it is. Great stained glass. Reasonable story. There's things that have happened to this character that I know about. How about Roga?
Roga Carekeep Overlord is above Renata and below the Council of the Four at 881. Pumping Kobold. He's making kobolds and he's making dragons. He's doing all of that kind of stuff. This card is totally like middle of the line. Kobolds are bad again. Like, this is where we fall to. So it's like, how many kobolds can you cast to get dragons? You can cast dragons to get kobolds, but kobolds stink. So it's like, what are you really getting here?
If you just put a bunch of dragons in your deck, then you're playing a dragon tribal deck with all the good dragons, and you have some random 0/1s on the ground. You can't really use them unless all your dragons also have sacrifice synergies. That's unlikely.
He does work well with Prosh, which is extremely flavorful because he's the leader of the kobolds who worship Prosh, and he was a big jerk, and that's why Rogak, his son, he goes up against him because he was mean and ruled with an iron fist like a big jerk.
Yes. Now on to Jedid Ojanin, Mercenary at 856. Above Oscar, below Ayula. Hey, those are real commanders that I know. A creature that cares about legendaries and gives you 2/2 forest walks. And it's Bant. It's not a green, white, or blue, white. It's Bant, all three of them.
Yeah, Jedid is a character from the old legends. He had one of those stinky old legends that didn't really have text. Well, he's back. He's Bant, and he's actually doing something now. He's still not great. I don't understand what this card's really going for. Exactly, you get some tokens.
Is he recruiting them?
I'm not sure, but I absolutely love this art. He's hanging off the ship, and he looks... It's great art.
If you had to sum up his entire lore in 3 words, what would you put?
Adventurous Tiger Warrior.
That's what I would pick, too. And if I had to sum up Moxfield.com, just throwing things out there, I would probably say best deck building website. Because if you use it, you're kind of just cheating. You're ahead of the game, but in a good way. You get the access to all the tools, all the criteria that just makes you easy to sort your cards, play with your cards, analyze your cards, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, and as soon as these cards are spoiled and you can find them on Moxfield.com, that day you can start building with them on Moxfield. So even though Jedid, not legal in the format till pre-release, which is actually, today, so it actually is legal as of today, you could still be building a deck with him beforehand because you can do that with Moxfield.com.
We both did that with different commanders just to test out how they would look.
Yeah.
And Moxfield let us do that. So please get on Moxfield. You're missing out. Let's go to Miria, Scholar of Antiquity. She's ranked 846. Above Saheeli, the commander version, and below Pramikon. This is like red-green artifacts, but the big bummer is that you can't use non-token artifacts to get your stuff.
Yeah, I think that this just makes this card bad. If you could use tokens, you can do treasures, you can do things, you can copy stuff. There is things to be done. You can only ever use physical cards you play, so you're not really going to be able to get that much out of it. Sadly, I thought that this could be a cool design if it actually used tokens.
It might be too far.
Maybe.
I'm not upset. It's just I can't give this card a high power.
I'd rather just make it cost 6 mana.
Ooh, yeah.
And then see what we can do from there. Maybe that would make it better.
Yeah, she's this elven artificer. Obviously, she's leader of the Forest Elves. She fought Rona, who was working for Shieldred, who's back on Dominaria, if you didn't know. And Rona was riding a dragon engine, and she led the elves in the mana rig. So she, being Miria, led the elves in the giant battle of Dominaria, which is the mana rig battle.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big fight going on in Dominaria. Phyrexians versus non-Phyrexians.
Phyrexians are popping out of people, like a John Carpenter movie.
Exactly like a John Carpenter movie. This card's really unique, though, I will say. Red-green artifacts, not typical artifact colors. That's why it got such a nice score.
Especially because it's distinctly not treasures.
It is distinctly not treasures, right? I mean, green just is not an artifact color usually, so seeing it work with it is nice.
Next is a deck I actually built on Moxville.com before the card was even legal. It's Balmor Battle Mage Captain. Above Plarg, below OG at 806. 2-mana 1/3 flyer, instants and sorceries, pump your whole team, +1/+0, trample. Actually, kind of decent. One of the standout uncommons from the set. There's a couple other ones that we'll get to eventually. But as long as you go wide, that's kind of just a built-in overrun.
Yeah, exactly. You want to play instant sorceries to make your tokens. You want to play things that trigger off instant sorceries to make your tokens. It's its own little deck. It's going to be fun. But overall, not the strongest, not weak by any stretch of the imagination. We're still at 4s. Hopefully, we're going to get some 5s and 6s soon.
4 to 6 is about average, though.
4 to 6 is about average for what you can expect out of a commander. This one actually does things. It's decent. No lore, so 1.
Yeah, the flavor text is like, hey, no one's ready for a sky attack. Phyrexians corrupted the Weatherlight. What are you talking about? You just seem stupid. And one of the best stained arts, though.
Yes, by far. It's so good. Up next is Tura Kenarud above OG, below Jury, which both end in eyes, coincidentally, at 804. This is blue-white, cast instant sorceries, get soldiers. Now, I want to mention something for uniqueness that we're going to do going forward. When something is a copy of an older card or something, in fact, we've seen before, it's less unique. That doesn't mean it has to be the same uniqueness as, like, say, Towerand. It can be less because this is the newer version. It's the same thing. This one's not unique. Towerand wasn't not unique. This is not unique.
I hope you followed that. And if you followed our shorts videos, this is one of those broken, must-be banned turn 1 combo cards. And I don't know if you needed to hear this, but that was a joke, so maybe go rewatch it. But this card has great stained glass artwork, as is expected. Virtually no lore. And I think that's it. That's everything. There's some fun to be had because it actually does things.
Chef's kiss for art. That's all. Next is Torstein, founder of Benalia, above Yuyo and below Karth at 798. I like this thing. It enters, you look at the top 7, you get your creatures, you get your lands, you draw a bunch of cards because that's how you're going to build your deck. And then when it dies, it leaves behind a mini little army to just go and attack. And when you replay it, you get more stuff, so it's worth paying this 9 mana afterward because you draw a bunch of cards from it.
I know what I would do with this. The trigger, to me, might be a little tedious at times, but I would just build all creatures, all lands, so then you just draw 7 every time.
Yeah.
I mean, how nuts is that? I know my commander is draw 7 when I play it.
Which is super strong. And like I said, it dies. It leaves something behind. It's not just like you get this, it's a one-off, and it's over. No, it dies, and now there's a bunch of soldiers.
And it's not cast, it's ETB. So flicker this thing and just draw a million cards.
Ephemerate. Use Ephemerate. Make this thing...
No, you can't. You have to use Restoration Angel so you can draw 7 cards every time.
Okay, you can do that. I'm going to use Ephemerate.
Okay, you use Ephemerate to get 85 triggers. This thing has no lore. We're really excited about the card itself. There's a lot of fun and power to be had. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And the art, and we didn't get, not a great stained glass art, sadly, for this one.
Right. You want to talk about weak tribes? Well, let's talk to Zerium Golden Wind. It's a griffin. It's above Allura and below Norika Yamazaki at 785. It wants your griffins to hit because then you get griffins. But there's no griffins. How are you going to make griffins? However, this is a pretty good ability if you had put it on basically any other tribe.
Yeah, this would be a 10 for fun because it's going to be cool. Build the griffin deck. What makes this ability so, actually strong, if griffins are good, this card is great.
Because they already fly.
They're flying creatures, and they hit and they make flying creatures. I was mentioning to BZ, I was like, this deserves at least a 3. I know griffins are weak, but they're griffins that keep making griffins. They just keep getting more and more. I'm just like, BZ, put this on spirits. How stupid is this card if it's talking about spirits instead of griffins?
Very. So griffins... Every 5 years, will probably get one more playable card. Maybe for now, just play Changelings or something. Or don't even care. Just play a couple Griffins that are going to make Griffins that make Griffins.
Or don't play this card.
Yes, or don't, because there's no lore.
Yeah,
So
there is no lore. This card's not very exciting, but maybe one day we'll get the Griffins.
for now, let's go to King Darien the 48th, 768, above the Tarask and below Sliver Hive Lord. He pumps your creatures. He can make a creature make himself bigger, and then he can sacrifice to save your tokens. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of words on this for sure, so I think there's some fun to be had, and it's just kind of like middle of the road for these mediocre cards.
Yeah, exactly. This card is okay. It's kind of cool. I mean, King Darien, the 48th, we saw the original King Darien, and now we're 48 King Dariens later.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of King Dariens, considering that I hope that every generation was King Darien and there wasn't any gaps, because there could have been other kings in there.
Yeah, there probably were other kings. There probably wasn't 48 Dariens in a row. This one is way less exciting than his father and has very little lore other than having 47 other Dariens, implying the existence of 47 Dariens.
But this, I have to say, this stained glass art, this was one of my absolute favorites.
It goes so hard. It has no business going that hard.
I know, considering the card is like whatever, it's just like, no, this is amazing art.
Time for another kobold. It's Rosnacht, heir to Roga. Below Dika, above Kambal, it's 757, so kind of in the middle of the road. It's a weakling like all kobolds. It's got battle cry, and then it lets you make kobolds when you target it, so it can pump up the kobolds. Obviously, there's no power, but that's what kind of makes the kobolds fun, is you can get all scrappy with it.
Yeah, at least this deck does something. You can target it with a lot of things. You can Voltron it up. You can use cantrippy type spells to, like, get a kobold, draw a card, and then
there's infinite red cantrips.
You can do a bunch of those type of things. It's gonna be a fun little deck to build. Art is totally fine. I mean, I like that she's just like, it's a girl kobold. We don't really, all the kobolds we've seen have just kind of been dudes.
Finally, a female kobold.
I've been clamoring for it for years.
Yes, clamoring for the female kobolds, and not necessarily clamoring for this second Rith, but we'll take it. It's Rith Liberated Primeval. Above Cormella, below Triad of Fate, sitting at 745. He's 5 mana, and he and all your dragons are going to have Ward 2, and then you can make more dragons. So, okay. Okay, Rith.
Yeah, but the way you make more dragons is not really that super realistic of a thing to do. Planeswalker's not on the board that often, and you have to deal excess damage to it still. So if you kill it exactly, it doesn't do anything. Also, I mean, if they're getting chump blocked, then you're making more dragons. Sometimes this will work. It seems like you want to play fight spells with this. I don't think so. I don't think it's very powerful. We just have a lot of good dragon commanders, and I think this is just kind of like, meh.
I like it as there's now a de facto Naya dragon commander. I don't think we had that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that existed. So some people are going to be happy. I wonder if this was made as like a foil to the blue-black dragons. And now they're like, let's split the Wooburg in half.
Maybe.
Who knows?
It's possible.
I mean, Rith, apparently their breath causes growth of vines and is one of 5 primeval dragons and is a girl, which I never knew.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a dragon. It's tough to... I don't know what's the defining...
Tough to... I don't even know where I'd hear about if Rith was a girl or not.
I don't know. Is there a feature? Tell us. Is there a feature on dragons in Magic that lets you know if it's male or female?
I know a lot of species have that, where it's like, oh, the females look like this and the males look like this. But guess what? If I'm a Magic player, I'm looking at thousands of different species. I don't know.
I have no clue. Somebody tell us if there's a way to tell that Rith is a girl without reading it in the lore.
And tell me how you even know that there's a way.
Yes. Next is Green Sleeves Marrow Sorcerer above Inferno, below Lear at 735. So it'll be a big creature, equal to your land. So you can definitely get this thing really, really big. And whenever land enters, you get a Badger. So if you were ever wondering, can I get Landfall Badger? Here it is. This card is relatively powerful. You're going to want to give it Trample. It'll get big. It'll be one of those commanders you can definitely get commander damage with. And, did I mention? Badgers.
Badgers. Now that's probably where half her coolness comes from. She was an Arc Druid during the modern times, which I think is way in the past. Great. On Dominaria and briefly a Planeswalker, she was a slender woman with long blonde hair and ultimately became the Morrow Sorcerer of Arborea.
Yeah, I don't know what a Morrow Sorcerer is exactly. I know that they're equal to hand size or equal to
based
lands.
on Mark Rosewater.
And based on Mark Rosewater. But that's all I know.
That's all we can tell you.
Somebody else tell us more about this one. Because isn't there another Morrow card?
There's plenty.
Really?
I think there's multiple Morrow Sorcerers.
Oh, I meant, isn't there another Morrow card on this list? Like the weird-looking tree?
I wish I knew.
Or maybe that thing's not a legend. Maybe that thing might not be a legend.
It's not a legend.
Yeah, it looks really weird.
You know who else looks really weird? It's Elas Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, because he's bleeding oil. It's above Azor and below Marisi at 728. And it basically, just like as another Zulaport Cutthroat variant, your creatures will gain your life when they enter and drain opponents when they die. Cool. That's actually pretty good to have the win con of your aristocrat strategy in the command zone.
Super solid, yeah. 4, like we said, this is like 4s and up are like, at least the average commander. They're going to do things. They're going to be pretty strong and a threat at times. This one has decent art. She's spooky. She is. Is this she?
I think she is a she. Just creepy to look at. Like, she just looks like she'll rip you apart.
Yeah, she was looking for the Ring of Limdol, fought by Liliana, who had used her maximum power to win.
I thought that was the worst wording I've ever heard, because that's straight from the wiki. She used her maximum power.
Lily did?
Yeah.
Why did she have to...
I feel like her maximum power would, like, destroy everybody.
Especially some random core.
This throwaway Tutu, who barely matters, who I think, they escaped, too, so she didn't even kill them. That's her max power?
I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, art's good. Story's fine. This card is semi-unique that we get the Zulaport Cutthroat effect in our command zone, which is really nice.
Almost unheard of, I think. But let's go to one of the most fun legends just ever. It's Squee, Dubious Monarch at 720, above Ave, Progenitor Ooze, and below Lelia. Unfortunately, Squee this time around is very bad. The previous incarnations have worked really well with this card or gone infinite with Food Chain. This one doesn't really do anything. I don't even care to read or talk about what it does. It's bad, and it's not super fun because you can't do too much with it. But I want to talk about the art, and I want to talk about the lore.
Yeah, Squee is just a very well-known character. He's been well-known forever. He literally is an immortal goblin. He has the thing called Squee's Toy that just makes him immortal.
I believe it's called a Salvation Stone.
It's a Salvation Stone, but it looks like a little pet.
Yeah, it's been called both. There's a lot going on with Squee. I'm just going to read the whole thing.
This is the new stuff, too.
Yeah, this is the brand new Squee update. It's kind of important if you care about Squee. About a century before 4562, Squee became the king of a goblin clan, winning a trial by combat by tiring his opponents to death, a tactic he had developed while pit fighting. Although he unleashed a new age of peace and progress, his clan was slowly infiltrated by Urtai's sleeper agents, and Squee was captured by Urtai and fully completed. Oh no. However, Squee's body blew up the mountain and squished himself, destroying the Phyrexian cell in the process. Finding himself in a changed extra-dimensional space, Squee learned from Salvation, with a capital S, that's like a thing, in his cell, that his soul had been removed from his body by the completion process, and only by virtue of the body destroying itself did he have a chance to return. He was given a choice between dying permanently or returning to immortality, but for some reason, Squee chose to have a third option, return as a normal mortal goblin who can now die.
Oh, weird. Squee is now mortal, which is sad because Squee can now die.
Squee will die.
Squee will die in the future. He's lived so long. He's been around since old Magic lore.
He's made so many jokes. All the goblins have just died of old age around him in the art.
Yep. Oh, it's so sad. That's sad within itself.
It's pretty good.
Up next is Namada, Primeval Warden, above Bantu the Glorified, below Grenzo the Havoc Razor. All right, I want to talk about my least favorite part of this card to start. It is 3,000 feet tall and a 4/5.
3/4.
A 3/4. Sorry, it's not even as good as I thought. It's a 3/4.
Can't tangle with Rumbling Bailoff.
What is going on? This thing is 3,000 feet tall.
Are you supposed to sacrifice saplings to then make it 3,000 feet tall? Is this the little tiny baby tree version? Looks like it's pretty tall. It's like towering over a forest. I don't know what's going on with the flavor. Seems like a mess.
Yeah, but also something about this effect. It's just good. When your opponent's creatures die, they get exiled instead, and you get some sort of positive effect.
Those are pretty sweet.
They're all good. They really are all good. So I would just play this and be happy with it inside of a deck. As the commander, now we're building around saplings. We can put in what is the other sapling commander?
There's plenty. Slimefoot is
Slimefoot was the one I was thinking of. So we can do some sapling stuff, and we don't even have to build around him at all. We can just build some green-black good stuff deck, and he will just get value from playing it.
Yeah, Namada, nice little package. It's got a bunch of solid reasons to play it, and we're getting into some of the better legends. And as I say that, we have Urg Spawn of Turg next, above Sapling of Kolfanor and below Talrand at 660. So it's a star 5, and the star is your lands in graveyard, and then it can mill and pump itself by sacking lands. Has the potential to get really big. Probably won't get that big. Nice little meme deck to accomplish putting 1,000 lands in your graveyard.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really strange card. And what gives it the 2 for power is it can have a lot of power, and it's only 3 mana. So it has the potential to get there and be really, really big for a little bit of mana.
Yeah, solid green-black legend. It was an Anurid monster thingy used by Laquatus, if you remember who that is.
No.
If not, don't worry about it. That's pretty much all there is to know about Urg Spawn of Turg. But it's another green-black frog commander that cares about the graveyard and lands.
And it's another green-black frog commander with amazing art.
Super good. Love these green-black frog commanders. Keep them coming, I guess. Who's next?
It's Jensen Carthalion, Druid Exile. Above Yeva, below Rafine at 653. This one can filter into Wooburg, and if you cast 5-color spells, you get Angels. The problem is there's not that many 5-color spells, and for the 5-color spells that do exist, a lot of them stink and are just slivers.
Right, so you really got, this is going to be one that gets better over time, noticeably, like dramatically. So keep an eye out for Jensen. His power might go up as the cards surrounding him get better. But like 5-color, fun little multicolored nonsense is always going to be fun to play.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really get much when you cast multicolored spells. You get like a Scry, which is whatever. But the Angels, that's actually a reward if you can cast 5-color spells. Again, trouble is we don't have a lot of those. It'll be fun. You can build around them. It's a 5-color nonsense deck. You play all your favorite cards, so it'll obviously be fun.
Sadly, we don't know much about Jensen. He was a former fugitive. Now he's the head druid of the Juniper Order, which I have heard of. So good for you, Jensen. He's moving up in the world.
This is also one of those arts where it's not the stained glass that's getting us there. It's actually pretty...
It's just a good art.
It's just a good art. Sadly, multicolored matters is not being original anymore. It's becoming...
I'm getting a little bit... Like, we've seen it a lot.
We're getting it now. Like
it feels like since Niv Mizzet Reborn, they just started hammering us with it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
All right, Shaned Sleeper's Scourge. This is one of our favorite legends from the set. It's above Gisa and Geralf and below Tristani at 648. Your legends have menace, and now playing legendary lands or creatures draws you cards? Okay.
Yeah, you lose a life, but you're going to play life gaining deck to overcome that. This card is pretty strong.
It's a 6.
All your lands, not all your lands, but a lot of your lands, a lot of your creatures, a lot of your instant sorceries, because you can play some of those legendary instant sorceries that we've seen before, are just going to draw you cards. This card is strong.
You're just never going to run out of gas.
You can't. Yeah, you can't run out of gas unless this thing keeps dying over and over again. It's going to be fun. You can take it in a million different directions because the legends don't really tell you what to do. You can just pick which legends from where. We're doing a list right now, and literally, so we get 3/5 of them, meaning that there's like 900 of these 900 different commanders to put in this deck. Find the ones that fit best.
You could build a Blink deck. You could build an Attacks Matters. You could build a Defense Matters. There's too many legends. You have so many options, and they're all going to be sweet. Let's go to Kadric's Soul Kindler at 633, above Guafa, below Nikia. This is the one that makes yet another way to have non-legendary copies of legendary creatures. The trick with this one is that they go away, and you get them temporarily. So you want to beat the heck out of people with them.
Oh, this is going to be so fun. The whole idea is you're going to slam a legend, make a copy of that legend so that you can attack with it or get its ETB again or get its static ability like an Elishnorn twice, so it's like super strong. That's this whole thing. That's what this card does.
Yeah, like here's a second Velomachus Lorehold coming at you.
Exactly. And like, do I think this card is super strong? No, I don't think it's super strong, but I do think it's going to be a unique, fun deck to build. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be red-white legends, which is just, it limits you even more. I like when the legends are limited on colors because it really makes you stretch.
It makes it more interesting
for the cards. Yeah, I agree with
Tension is interesting when deck building. Restriction breeds creativity.
It does. And this card is very unique. I mean, the legendary thing is not the most unique, but we're getting that copy, we're getting in. It's all of it combined that makes
it's a variation. It gains haste and it goes away, so it's not forever. Rivez of the Claw, 626, above Thantis, below Neith of the Hunt. This card's just rock solid. It's Dragon Tribal, but it just makes mana, and you just cast dragons from your graveyard. Like, okay, I'm in for this.
I mean, one of the biggest things about this is, like, without any setup or anything, on turn 4, you get to cast, without any setup, you just played your commander, you get to cast a 6-drop.
It's most dragons.
So that's 2 ahead. Like, this card is just really good. It ramps you a lot, and it lets you play dragons from your graveyard. It's just a really strong card.
You got to watch out for this one.
This is red-black dragons. This actually makes red-black dragons way more viable. Like, we talked about Rith earlier. It's like, it is Naya Dragons, but it's not that good. This is Rakdos Dragons, and it's good. It's super strong. It's going to be fun. Everyone loves playing dragons. You're just big, stupid flying beaters.
Everyone builds a dragon deck at some point in their life for some reason. But this one is one of the better, more interesting cards I've seen. Only thing holding it back, scores are great, except it has no lore.
It is sad. I mean, what can we do about it? I mean, it looks kind of cool in the art. We give it a couple points, but that's
we can't make up a story.
We can't make up Rivaz's of the Claw's story. I mean, of the Claw is
Zurlin of the Claw, right? Reference.
Yeah, so it's a reference to that, but and it's a Viashino that works with dragons. We've seen that, but that's all we know.
Could be reference to Liar Liars, the Claw, also.
I doubt it.
Nothing can stop it.
It's very possible, though.
Yes, it is. It's very, very possible. Let's go to Emperor Mihail II at 623 above Higure and below Karuga. This is your classic tribal card. Cast the tribe from the top of your deck. Merfolk is the tribe.
On top of that, whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you pay one and you get another one. This Merfolk isn't the most supported, but it is supported enough to be a good tribe.
Got some help this set with that Lord and this card.
Yeah, which are both amazing. I think this is like a go-to mono blue Merfolk commander. Playing off the top is going to be super strong, and on top of that, you pay an extra one, get extra Merfolks. You go super wide with these Merfolks. We have all the Merfolk. There's Merfolks that we like tap them to do things or sacrifice them to counter spells, like BZ was mentioning. Card is good. It's a good Merfolk commander. People love Merfolk. Fish are fun.
Yep, no story. Fish are fun. Torwaki the Younger at 6'11 above Damia, below Kardur. This card is so weird. It's just like a pretty good magic card. It's lifelink, and then it like gutter snipes any one target for 2. So you're gaining life whenever you get to cast an instant or sorcery. I kind of like, I looked at it, my eyes glazed over the first time, but now I'm pretty happy with it.
It's a fairly strong commander, yeah. Whenever you cast instant sorceries, you can pick off things. You can get 4 toughness creatures just by casting 2 instant sorceries in a turn.
Give this thing Death Touch.
It's not going to be hard. Give this thing Death Touch. This is a unique deck. I think we gave it a 7 for uniqueness. This deck is, I mean, we've seen Spellslinger within red, but black-red Spellslinger, that is some uniqueness added.
And this thing just like wombo combos with like Chandra's Ignition. You're just gaining like 1,000 life.
Yeah, deal. I mean, if you can pump its power a little bit, you can wipe the board and gain a stupid amount of life.
3 times the number of things that are in play.
Is that good?
It is, in fact, good. So Tor, despite having almost no lore, you're like, you helped kill Halfdane, and you're Tetsuo's second in command. You're number 1 in my heart.
He's also young.
Younger.
Younger than who?
Torwaki the Older, which we don't have.
Up next is the ever-changing Dane, who we just talked about, actually, at 548 above Zimone, below Perry. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this thing. I don't understand it. Sacrifice a creature, it becomes that creature, but you already had that creature. Why do we sacrifice it now? What are we doing here? I don't get it. I really don't get this card.
You can't get the ETBs or dies, and any static abilities are now, you have them moved over to a different creature instead. Really bizarre. I mean, it's a sack outlet if nothing else. It's got some power. It's not a weak card. It's just so confusing. It's on the weaker side of like 1 to 10.
I did look up the decks, and it looks like it's just another version of kind of like Lazav, where you make it into things in your graveyard, and then you kill them with like infect damage.
Yeah, sack something to make it unblockable. Then it can't be blocked. Now make it an infect creature or something.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm not a big fan of this card. I don't get it. It doesn't feel. It'll be kind of fun trying to jump through all these hoops to get somewhere. What did the half Dane do?
Yeah, he wins when it gets to artwork and the uniqueness of the card, because that's a very weird text box. We're confused by it. But he's a mentally unstable shapeshifter killer obsessed with his reflection who has killed multiple named characters that we've already mentioned. That alone is like a really cool sentence.
He's a murderer.
He's a serial killer who like has he loves himself.
He's gross. He also looks gross in the art.
Yeah, he looks gross. He shapeshifted into an ugly dude.
I don't know. No, he's not even shapeshifting into ugly. He's like going to eat him or something.
Well, that's ugly.
And also it says he'll never be half of anything again.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's because he used to be the half Dane.
Now he's a full Dane? I don't know. He's probably Dane Cook.
Now he's just Dane.
He's just Dane now. Who's next?
It's Stang, Echo Warrior at 528 above Nahab, Dreadhorde General, and below Gorian. Stang is super unique. I want to mention that right away.
For sure.
Like, we get, like, making a copy of himself is kind of his thing. Like, that's the Stang thing. So, but when he attacks, you get a copy of him with all of the stuff that's attached to him. Copies of those as well. First thing, if you play, like, an Aura deck with this, you can, like, put out Eidolon of Blossoms, attack, and then re-trigger. There's so much cool stuff to do here. This is a 10 for fun, 9 for uniqueness. Stang gets a 2 for...
the non-existent lore. There isn't any. We only can infer that he can copy himself.
He can copy himself, and he makes a Stang twin.
It has to be called Stang twin. He's very particular about what we call his friend. It is Stang twin. But this is like such a cool modern take without being broken of Stang.
Oh, yeah, not broken at all. I mean, you have to go all in on Stang and then attack with it. There's a lot of hoops to jump through that keep the power down. That being said, still an awesome card.
On to Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief at 523. We're moving up there above Uvilda and below Lathril. This is the card that copies the spells that target it. You might think like, oh, heroic, but also auras and mutate is probably what you're going to see with this.
It actually copies the spells that target other things. So.
Right, yeah. So like you You target a thing, and then another thing gets the thing.
Yeah, this is the only card it's like they made that Duplimancy card just to play with this card.
Probably.
But this card is going to be an extremely fun card, and it's extremely unique. We do have some of these, like, we want to be targeting our guys.
There's like
Orvar. Other things. There is things that exist like this, but this one is just like, no, target something else, and then target me, jump through all these hoops, and do this, like, little dance, and then you get rewarded with something. I mean, this is
kind of doubles your mutates, right? Because you're going to mutate.
That's the coolest thing.
And then she's now started. Then when you get the mutate trigger on the other thing, she gets the same mutate trigger because now there's a stack.
Yeah, exactly. The mutating is what's the coolest thing because like, you double mutate. So this can be a sweet green-blue mutate deck with a ton of all the little cantrips are going to be great in this deck too.
Oh, so can't you mutate and then make Ivy not legendary and start copying it?
As soon as you put it on top, as soon as it's mutated on top, if it's not a legend.
That's what I'm saying. So then you can clone it, and now you're making more. You're like tripling your mutates.
Yeah, you could do that.
Sheesh.
Yeah, you can go. This card can go off. It's a super fun card. It's going to be super awesome to build around. Great art again. Sad, there's just no lore, and I can't really infer anything from the art. It's just kind of this little fairy.
Sometimes they do a lore dump, and if they do, we might run through this, maybe in a live stream or something, and actually update everybody's stories. Danitha, Benalia's Hope, 519 is her rank above Heliod, God of the Sun, and below Micaeus the Lunarch. She's kind of clunky. She puts artifacts from your hand or graveyard into play, and she can beat people up. She's got lifelink.
Yeah, she's got lifelink vigilance, and
I'm just not super stoked by this one.
Yeah, she's fine. The thing is, she cheats mana, but she never gets you card advantage, which kind of stinks. I mean, if you get a card from your graveyard, it's kind of like getting card advantage.
Yeah,
but you do have to get it in there, and you have to jump through a hoop. Milling yourself in white, not the easiest thing to do. Card is fine, reasonable, gonna be fun. It's gonna be a Voltron deck. You're gonna make a big giant Danica Patrick.
Danica Patrick, yes, great art, fun potentials there, and her story kind of sad. She had to kill her father. She's distant relative of Gerard, so maximum lineage points. She defended Benalia from the Cabal, and the last time we saw, she had to kill her dad, and she was the leader of House Capuchin now.
Yeah, I mean, all cool. This card is sweet.
She does things. Time for Lagomos, Hand of Hatred, 514 above Marie and below Sephiroth. This is the Ball Lightning commander. You make a little tiny Ball Lightning, it's a 2/1, and then you can tap this thing and Demonic Tutor, but 5 creatures had to have died.
I don't know how you're doing that reliably. It just doesn't seem like something you can really do reliably. It's okay. I'm sure that it once you get there, I mean, play something, B&BZ, we're thinking about it. The best thing for this and what actually can make it strong, every version of Fleshbag Marauder.
That's 4, and your Elemental's 5, end step, dies, tutor.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get the tutor like that. So that's what keeps this strong. You really got to get there because this card doesn't do much by itself. The 2/1 is nothing.
It's cute. It's oh, look at that little guy.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just going to end up, you want sack outlets, you want to play all the Fleshbag Marauders, and then you can start tutoring, and tutoring is strong because tutoring is so strong. Even though you have to jump through this hoop, it'll still be pretty good.
And that's why he loses out on fun points because you're going to be playing against whatever this player decides to put in their deck that's a banger over and over and over.
Yeah, man, another one of the just amazing arts. I'm so happy with how good they made these arts.
Both the original and some of the stained glasses. Most of the stained glasses and this original was great.
The stained glass arts are
so good.
This one's super unique though. I mean, what creature cares about 5 creatures dying?
And makes little baby ball lightnings.
I don't care about that.
I think that token would be cute. Let's go to Braids. She's back. She's back, and no one knows why, and she's pissed off, I think. At 5'11", above Arden and below Gonti, she's a 3/3, and you could sack a permanent, and then your opponents might sack the permanent type, or they can just let you draw a card and they lose 2. So it's probably card advantage, but the more rare a type you sack, the less likely they are to sack the thing as well, obviously. If you sack a Planeswalker and they don't have one, that's 3 cards, baby.
Yeah, I mean, and it also is draining them out of life. This card is going to be pretty powerful. It's cheap mana-wise, which means it just comes down early. You get going, you're going to make a ton of useless tokens. You're going to make treasures. You're going to... I even like the idea of using some of the War of the Spark Planeswalkers, so you can just, like, minus them down. Now they're useless. They have a static, but it's not that good. All right, I will just, sack it to Braid. You have to sacrifice my turn. Oh, you can't lose 2. I'll draw 3 cards.
Same with, like, turn 2, some kind of cantrip mana rock, or just something. Literally anything. Braids, then go, whoop, artifact gone. I doubt you want to sack your ramp. Give me 3 cards, please. One thing I won't ever probably do with this is sack a land, because I don't really want to give up a land.
I mean, you'll do it sometimes. I mean, later in the game is when you'll do it.
But then they might sacrifice a land if it's that late.
Yeah, that's fair.
It feels like the worst part of this.
Yeah, regardless. I mean, it's still an upside because having it is better than not having it, right? This card is powerful. We got it at 5. I don't think it's going to be super fun to play against. That's why we lost 3 points here because all it's going to do is make you sacrifice stuff or lose life.
It's never anything you want to do.
It's never fun choices. 10 for art, both arts, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, somehow Braids is back from like some kind of dementia nightmare thing. I read the story. I have no clue what is going on the entire time. Tiana, Raph, and Shanna are on they meet a resurrected form of her on the Weatherlight, but she's like split in half. And she wants them to kill the other half of her. And I thought maybe one half is good, like Blue Braids, and the other half is bad. They're both bad, and one's worse. And then she like absorbs it, and she's like mocking people who die. And then I see Tiana is like, grabs two people and like dives off the Weatherlight because it's turning Phyrexian. And they don't even say what happens to Braids, but she's not a Phyrexian, so I don't know.
Okay.
That's it. I have no idea.
That's fair. Cool card, though. Very cool card. Up next, Garna, Bloodfist of Kald above Tuluz below Minsk at 505. I like this card a lot. I think it's really, really cool. When your creatures die, you always get an effect. You either drain opponents, or if they're attacking, you just straight up draw magic cards. Okay. This is awesome. It is super fun. It is pretty strong. Getting a 5. I mean, like we said, we don't really go into the 10s and 9s, especially not right away when we're doing these. Sometimes we might go back and give them, but 10s and 9s, they're hard to get. They're definitely very hard to get. 5 is strong. This card's good.
Yeah, this card does not mess around. It's great because you just play it last. This is the last thing you do, so you already have creatures in play. It's not like they can stop your commander while it's in the command zone. So as soon as you play it, you're either getting damage or they're letting you attack, and you go send them all in after damage, or when you block, I'll draw like 6 cards, and then we're just off to the races.
I hated the last Garna. I thought it was the most uninspired thing.
And so was, and this is so cool.
I know. This Garna is sweet. It's a great design. She looks even cooler now.
Oh, she's like... it's a weird focus that the Phyrexian is the focus of the art, but she's messing that thing up.
Yeah, and I think that, Garna as a character it's like, oh, the rival of Rada is xenophobic. It's like, no story, but, she looks really cool. And her name is the Blood Fist. Okay.
Blood Flame before and Blood Fist now.
What is a Blood Fist, and how is it so badass?
How does it sound so cool? You know who doesn't sound as cool? It's Varric, Warped Sengir, but he made it up this far. He's at 472 above Rubinia and below Vrondis. He wants you to copy pay life abilities. So if you fetch with Marsh Flats, you can pay another life and fetch with another fake Marsh Flats. So you basically just get to fetch 2 lands, and that's all it does, because a lot of the pay life abilities doesn't matter if you copy them, because they're just Doom Whisperer. Pay 2 life. Well, you want to copy that by paying 2 life? No, just pay 2 life again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem I had. There are definitely good ones here. There was a few really cute ones. This is going to be super fun. You're going to build around it. You're going to make a unique deck. It's all about paying life.
And gain some life.
This card is super unique. There's nothing like this. No way to copy. Copying abilities by paying extra life. Just not something we have.
That's how it gets up here.
But it's a weaker card. It is definitely a weaker card. But it's because of the cards that we have that exist. This card only stands to get stronger. Every single pay life ability, if you add in, I don't know, take any really crazy strong ability. If you add pay 1 life to it, now this card is
I want to do
bonkers
that.
with it. I want to see things that are tap this to make a 10/10. Okay, add pay 1 life on there so I can double it.
Make me hurt myself. Now we're on to Rona Shield Red's Faithful above Yusri below Raphael at 420, the funny number. She's making opponents lose life from instant sorceries, and you can cast her from your graveyard. So in the late game, she doesn't have command attacks. Good for you, Rona. I think the main thing is she's a little mini gutter snipe. In the command zone, it's kind of like Elas, where it's cool to have a potential finisher in there.
Yeah, exactly. You can just cast a ton of spells, drain your opponents out. That's what this card's going to do. It's not going to be super fun to play against. It's just not super interesting. It's just going to be blue-black, spellslinger, sit there, and that's it.
Yeah, the art, we're not going to tell you they're all amazing, because they're all amazing.
But when they're 10s, we're going to tell you is real good.
Exceptional. How about that? Exceptionally good. She has a mini ray cannon in her eye. I didn't know that. It's amazing. She ended up being Shield Red's second in command. I kind of thought the first one was like a throwaway legend. Nah, she's back, and she's one of the main characters. And she beat Karn 1v1. I have no idea how.
She beat Karn?
It was just straight up 1v1. She just bested him.
Karn sucks.
Karn does suck.
Karn needs to get good, because Karn, spoiler alert, gets kidnapped at the end of the story, so...
Well, so I don't know what he's doing. He's losing to a Johnny. He's losing to Shield Red. He's losing to Rona. Shield Red's second in command loser human.
Who's just some random...
Just a lady.
Some person who liked...
She's not even Phyrexian.
Yeah. She's... Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Stinky Rona.
Stinky Karn. Let's how about Shanna, Purifying Blade.
She comes in at 415 above Rigo and below... Spoiler alert! She's the new captain of the Leatherite for about 5 seconds, but she helped the new coalition, Woohoo! Woo! Here comes the new coalition led by Shanna.
Really straightforward life gain commander. Gain some life, pump her up if you want to. That's great. She has lifelink. I can see why you want to do that. And then draw some cards. And there's like nothing. It's obviously, that's a fun thing to do. I just don't know what to say. Like, gain life. Do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty simple. You gain life. That's it.
Right. Shanna's a cool character. I like that she's trying to get out of Sisei's shadow. And there's that whole thing. And she kind of does, I guess. I don't think she was super important in the story. But the story thinks so. And that's what matters.
Okay. What'd she do? What'd she do? Tell me one thing.
All right, let's go to Ratadravik of Urborg, ranked 414, above Shanna and below Baird. But it's just going to be super annoying. Between reanimating the originals or making copies of them, there's just too many things going on.
Yeah, there's just going to be legends all over the board. It's going to be a 10 for fun. This is going to be a sweet, unique way to play the Legends deck rather than just having legends. You want legends. You want them to die. You want them to come back. You want to reanimate them. At least there's something different here. We don't just have, it's not just like play legends.
It's a lovely little wrinkle, and I'm happy to play zombie legends. Just losing some coolness points for I don't know what you do, Ratadravik. Tell me what's your day job?
I don't know, but what about Dihada, Binder of Wills, above Eruth and below Faldorn at 409. This is one of the face commanders for the 2 pre-con decks. This one is the Legends Matter one. Gave it a 6 for uniqueness because, like we said, these Legends Matter commander, they just keep coming. We've seen them a million.
There's more and more of them.
There's like 10 of them. Why is there 10, 13, 14? There's so many.
It's kind of like when they just keep printing Wooburg commanders. They had a streak of like 10 in a row from sets. This card is not very good. I don't think a lot of these abilities line up at all. Very weird. They don't feel cohesive. They all feel completely random. So this card doesn't seem like the strongest thing in the world. I think this deck's going to be fun because Legends Tribal is fun, even though we got 17 different ways to do it.
Yeah, she can kind of protect herself. I mean, she makes a nice little blocker that basically can just block infinitely. But you have to also, you want to have a flyer because it's like every other Planeswalker, weak to flying.
As MH2 told us, she controlled Dakin and got him to do a bunch of stuff. She killed Piru and absorbed its power. That was a giant explosion. She reappeared in Dominaria, so she's like still alive doing things. Now she's Mardu. And she killed / replaced the Tolarian Academy Archmage and sided with Phyrexia, but the Phyrexian invasion lasted like 3 hours, right? I don't know how relevant that was.
People are real dumb to be siding with Phyrexians.
It's not in your best interest.
It is not at all. You're turned into a robot that basically is a different person.
It certainly overwrites your desires, right?
I mean, it definitely does because, like we learned, Squee being turned Phyrexian removes the soul from the body.
Yeah, and Tamio's like, what kid? What kids?
Tamio's like, I have a new family, the Phyrexians.
And then she kicks her kids.
And then Johnny's like, I'm going to unite everybody into peace.
Under Phyrexia.
Under Phyrexia.
And with my robot eye. Shall we move on to Savitri?
Yes, we should.
Good, because she's above Dragonlord Ojutai and below Gave at 406. This is the Dragon Tribal, but it's blue-black now, and her -3 straight-up demonic tutors for a dragon. That's mostly what it does. I feel like you're going to lose fun points because it's tempting to get the same dragons over and over. I like that it's a little bit of a challenge, so she's not that good because blue-black dragons, you're missing red, obviously.
The best color for dragons. One of the funniest things is during one of Wizards live streams that I thought was funny, they're like, this card is really cool because it's not supported. It's like, that's not a reason it's cool. It's like, it is cool to build around like unique things, but it's like, it doesn't make it good because you didn't support it.
I like the feeling of having to wait or knowing a deck will get better because it's not directly supported. That feels like really like going way back to where you're like, hope there's good commanders in this set, not time to rank 75 commanders all designed for this format from this set.
Yeah, just think of like the old Merfolks where it's like Merfolks get +1/+1 in Island Walk, and there's only one other Merfolk in existence.
Yeah, it was literally back alpha vibes, but for commanders. So Savitri's sweet. I'm excited to see what people do with it. She did raid Corindor with dragons multiple times. She's adept in Hydromancy and Cold Magic, which I thought was cool because I don't know anybody who really does that. Maybe Will? Maybe?
Will definitely does.
But not Hydromancy. So she's like, she can like spit water at you and then freeze it. So she's like Mr. Freeze.
Spit? I hope she doesn't spit at me. What a jerk move. Up next, we have Tetsuo, Imperial Champion, above Willow Dusk, below Liliana at 371. Mr. Umezawa himself showing up again. This card is really strange. It is Grixis equipment?
Mana value?
Mana value of equipment? What is going on? This card is so weird.
It can only max out at, you're only getting like 7s because there's no equipment that costs more than 7. Can't even play all the good equipments because you're missing white, which is part of the restriction, which I like. It's going to make it more fun but less powerful. There's a lot of things you can do with Tetsuo. He's never going to break your back.
I think it's a super unique card, though. That's one of the big, that's the 8 here, is that this card is in colors that don't normally play, what is it called? Equipments. And it cares about mana value for no reason. That's not a normal thing to care about on equipments.
But it makes so much sense. It's flavorful, too. He's like, whatever he's holding, he's going to use it to the maximum potential because he's just a weapons master.
He did defeat Nicol Bolas in battle, which
this is like one of the OG heroes. There's a lot of lore you can go find. That's why we gave him an 8. But basically, he served Bolas originally. He rebelled. He killed Ramses Overdark, who we haven't even gotten to yet, and he defeated Bolas. And I think there was something with the Myojin, and he ended up on Kamigawa.
The Black Myojin exiled him from Kamigawa to Dominaria.
Right, and then that's where this stuff happened.
And that's also why Bolas went and killed the Black Myojin.
Yeah.
Because he was mad. He's like, whoever sent Tetsu here, I'm going to kill him.
I'm going to kill you. How about Jared Carthalion?
Jared is at 369, nice, above Liliana and below Jessica Thrice Reborn. This is the other face commander for the 5-color Painbow deck, and it's not very good either. Pluses to make Kavus that are all colors, minuses to put counters on things equal to the amount of colors they have, and ults to do nothing, basically.
The ult is horrendous. I mean, plussing and then minusing with another Wooba creature creates 10 power. There's something to do. You could maybe build around +1 counters. I like the fun aspect more than the power aspect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like the idea of, like, playing all the 5-color spells. I like getting the creatures out. I like, getting the Kavu. And I mean, if you plus the minus, you do make an 8/8. Even though it's like a vanilla creature, you did make an 8/8 and put counters on other things.
Exactly. This guy has an infinite lore, too. Like, pages and pages and pages. Another high-ranked coolness character. He fought in the Planeswalker War. That's how old this thing is. We've already had a Planeswalker War. It's not even that one. It's the one before the War of the Spark. He stopped Ravadel. I guarantee no one even knows who that is. And he reappeared in Dominaria United. He's still alive. No one knew that. To oppose Dihada.
What? So he's just opposing Dihada?
This fight just happened off screen. I support the Phyrexians. Well, I don't. And let's fight about it.
It seems like Jared would be very helpful. He seems like a powerful character.
He seems like one of the strongest people ever. He seems like the Captain Marvel who's never around and also is ridiculously strong.
Yeah, why didn't he get involved?
He wasn't at War of the Spark. He was here the whole time. They have to explain that with every single Planeswalker.
Classic. That's a very classic.
You love it.
Up next is Sten, Paranoid Partisan, below Keranos, and above Captain Nagathrod. This card is so weird. You can't pick creatures, you can't pick lands and lancers, but you pick another type that you're going to build your deck around, and then they all cost 1 less. He's ramp in your command zone.
Kind of feels like Umori.
Yeah, it's really, really, it's a cool card. It's a super cool card, but it's like really weird and definitely unique, especially because of the colors it's in.
Yeah, blue, white. Okay, probably you're going to be artifacts, but you can go the enchantment route or the Planeswalker route, I guess. There's some combos with this. I don't think that necessarily makes this card broken by itself because, like we did, Comedy Showdown, everything's broken with fast mana because fast mana is broken. So you're going to have to watch out for this. It will enable some shenanigans, and it's hard to kill. So the power is there. I think the fact that you can just exile him and dodge spot removal is kind of annoying.
I think the fact that he's going to reduce probably 50 spells in your deck's cost.
And like over the game, at least he'll make 15 mana.
Yeah, the thing's going to be really, really strong and super annoying. Like you said, he's sticky.
He's very sticky.
Super sticky. Super annoying. Give me some lore.
He was sticky in the lore. He's one of the main characters. He's rare, even though this gives me uncommon vibes just in general because, like, who's this idiot? Well, turns out he was a sleeper agent in charge of detecting sleeper agents. So he didn't even know that he was what he wanted to find. Oops. He got the false location of the Golgothian Silex, thought it was the real one from Karn, and then his body ripped apart and his ribcage butterflied out, and little claws came out of his eyes, and he turned into antenna to broadcast the information he just got to Shieldred. It's like, whoa, that's freaky.
I like how it makes sense now. It's a paranoid partisan.
Yeah.
But he didn't even know. He just doesn't know.
He should have checked his insides, I guess.
How do you do that?
I would be able to tell if you replaced my body with the endoskeleton or exoskeleton of like robot metal.
I don't think you can.
How do you go to going to the bathroom? You'd know something's up. Something's up.
You wouldn't. Nope. Have you seen none of the sleeper agents? No.
There probably is a way to like numb pain and stuff. It is kind of creepy.
Up next is Hazazon, Shaper of Sand, above Felogriff, below Octavia at 354. This thing isn't super strong, but again, we're in this position where it can get better.
This card is cool.
It is very cool. We don't have a lot of deserts that are very good at all. We don't even have a lot of deserts.
I think there's like 16 that you can possibly play.
Yeah, and that's saying something because there is just not a lot to do with this card at all.
How do you make your opponent control a desert?
Exactly. It has Desert Walk. Why does it have Desert Walk?
It's a flavor win. It's a flavor home run. He scores in every sector except for power.
Definitely. What was the lore? Give me some.
Yeah, so he's the governor of Bryce. He's good with sand.
Yeah, I mean, definitely is good with sand. We know that. This thing is super.
It's one of the most flavorful cards.
This thing is super unique. I mean, it cares about deserts. There's not almost any cards that care about deserts, especially legends. And it has a unique keyword, which is a land walk ability, desert. Was it desert land walk or is this desert
walk?
Desert.
Just the full package of this. I know exactly what this guy's about. He's he can survive in any desert. He's fine with harsh conditions. And it's just really cool. And you can make sand tokens.
He's a desert.
You can make sand rough course and get everywhere.
Watch him walk through the desert. Yeah, he's how would Darth Vader ever face Hazazon?
He would not.
He could not.
Next legend, Urtai, resurrected, 347. We're getting up there. Above Sithis, below Jasmine Prodigy. 4 mana, 3/2 flash. You're destroying a creature or countering a spell, and the owner of the thing you destroy or counter draws a card. So you're not really replacing. Well, you're replacing the card. So you're not getting card advantage, but you're getting severe tempo advantage, and you can target your own stuff to draw a card.
Yeah, this card I think is better than 99, especially because it's face up all the time. It'll be unfun to play against because people will see the counterspell. You don't want to play into the counterspell. Super not a fun card to have just sitting in the command zone.
No.
But that said, it's still okay. I just don't like this card. I don't ever want to see it in the command zone.
No, that would be very annoying. We would team up against that person.
Now, can someone explain to me why are all these characters from old lore suddenly back? There's so many.
It's like, Dihada and Jared, they never left. It's like, Urtai, he's back from the dead. Braids, she's back from who knows. We're not going to tell you. Urtai's back. Resurrected by Shieldred. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I can almost guarantee you this means Venser's coming back. If they can do this, they're going to bring back Venser. That's big money. So it completed Aaron and Squee's Goblins. Aaron is Danitha's dad. He fought in the Mana Rig battle. He probably died because I think he was last seen stumbling over the edge of it before it exploded.
The Mana Rig?
Yeah.
No, he's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah, like Dr. Robotnik in the end of Sonic 2.
Oh, yeah, he did not look fine.
No, he's fine.
And he's completely fine.
Yeah, obviously he's fine. Up next, we have Vohar Valdalian Desecrator above Yurlok, below Slimefoot at 309. What is this card? This card is really good. It is a 2-mana looter, which is like on par for what we expect from a looter. But if you discard instants and sorceries, they're losing life. And on top of that, you can just, at sorcery speed, Snapcaster something back. This card is really, really strong.
It's so cheap. It's just Merfolk Looter with more words on it. And the loot itself is just better. I like everything about this. Super cool card. I'm probably going to play it in 99 of some decks. And I could see a really solid, especially untap heavy commander deck around this. I mean, you have things like Mirror and Spy and even like Intruder Alarm where this thing is just going to loot so many times.
Yeah, this card is really good. It's also great with Madness cards, as all looters are.
They're all going to be in the deck.
You're going to put a ton of there's a ton of black Madness cards. You're just going to throw those in the deck.
For free.
Yeah, this card is really strong. Good art. Merfolk, this is the Merfolk Phyrexian Wizard that
Mark Rosewater teased.
Yes.
Should have teased some lore, too, because then Voharn would have been higher.
Yeah, this card's super unique. I mean, what is like this at all?
There's almost no looters in the command zone. Jason's Prodigy we saw next to somebody. I think he was next to Urtai. That's still not really... It's kind of like the closest legend, and then there's nothing else. Because they are similar.
Because this is Merfolk looter in your command zone that can Snapcaster Mage too.
Right. So Jace is like, yeah, I got that covered, and then no other legend says that.
Yeah, super strange.
Moving up the chain, Joyra, Ageless Innovator, 304, above Ukima and below Junji. She's a 2-mana 2/3 that can tap to put counters on herself and then start putting artifacts equal to the counters or less than from your hand on the battlefield. So if you can untap this over and over, if you can get constant triggers, you're going to cheat, as Joyra always does, a bunch of stuff into play.
Yeah, Joyra's got infinite lore. She's been around forever.
She can't really die. She's super old.
She's immortal. Did you know that she actually was in a relationship with Joda?
How did it happen?
It just didn't work out.
Oh, it didn't work out?
Yeah, in the end.
I feel bad for them. She studied at Solarian Academy. She fought the Phyrexians multiple times now. She restored the Weatherlight. Now the Weatherlight's gone. She fought Belzenlock. He's dead. And she helped self-destruct the Mana Rig at the end of the story.
Joyra's just a really old character with a ton of lore. This card is powerful. It's a 6. I mean, if you can untap it and keep retapping it, it doesn't have any cost to it. So
it's one of the strongest commanders from the set. I will add it for lore, sorry. She's Karn's first friend, which is adorable.
Aw, that is super cute.
Also,
super cute. Something about this card, it's 2 mana, goes to 2, goes to 4, goes to 6. You could drop 6 drops in on like turn 5.
Yeah, you give this thing
and that's without spending mana.
Yeah, this card, I think, with Intruder Alarm, not only will go infinite, it's possible, but will just cheat so much mana. you're going to have to kill this.
It's going to be a very stupid card.
Ramses, Assassin's Lord, is stupid, but in a fun way. It's above Elminster and below Inala at 293. And he wants you to make one player lose the game, because if you do that, you win the game.
This is an awesome design card. Absolute 10 for uniqueness and absolute 10 for fun. You want to be the person that eliminates a player.
Just pick one.
Super unique. That is not an idea like of Commander. Like killing someone off, like I've seen it in like games where it's like there's a prize for killing somebody. I've seen that, which is already kind of cool. Now you win when you do it, which adds such a caveat to the game because sometimes you keep players around, right? Because they're helpful to you. But you can't do that when there's a Ramsey Assassin's Lord player sitting across.
Up.
It is super cool. It's going to be super fun to play against. Going to change the dynamic of the game at times. Great card like that. It's not super powerful. You know, it's pumping assassins, which isn't a great creature type. But still, this idea, this whole card is awesome.
Because it ties together all of the crappy assassins that, like, you jump through 7 hoops and one person loses. And you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like Etrata, I think, the lady in front of the gigantic moon. Now I see what we can do.
Yes. Was Bolas's lackey at one time.
Yep.
Wanted to usurp Bolas. Didn't get there. Killed and absorbed.
Yeah,
geez,
absorbed.
By Tetsu to fight Bolas.
You really don't like that O in Tetsuo.
Tetsuo, yes.
Let's go on, shall we? To none other than Bladewing, Deathless Tyrant at 255, above Zolortha, a.k.a. Godzilla, and below Carador. 7 mana, chonky boy. Notably with haste, when it smacks a player, you get a 2/2 zombie with menace for each creature in your graveyard. It's not really limited by anything. The creatures don't get exiled. Gigantic army on a stick.
Yeah, exactly. And haste is what makes this thing
That's
good.
the saving grace.
Because this card would be really bad at 7 mana. You have to wait a whole turn and tap. Nope, it's not there. You just cast this. You get in right away, and you get a huge army. 10 creatures in your graveyard, which is going to be doable in a deck like this, is going to be an extra 20 power with menace on the board out of nowhere that just keeps going because if this thing isn't answered, you're going to make 20 more next turn.
Right. Give it double strike and just watch everybody cry. Pump your zombies, maybe. It's just a lot of ways you could go. You can go zombie tribal, self-mill tribal, dragon tribal if you really want to. I like everything about this card, really. We're into the really solid, great everywhere commanders now.
Also, yeah, I absolutely love this art. This looks so good.
Creepy. I mean, it's Rorik's Bladewing risen from the dead. Remember that crappy like vanilla?
No.
I think Rorik's Bladewing is just like a 6/5 with haste or something.
I don't remember it.
Well, it's not very memorable, but this one certainly is because it's creepy and awesome.
Next, we have Aster, Bearer of Blades, above Ormos, below Falco at 247. All right, this card is not super powerful, but it's super fun because it combines 2 archetypes that people like. We got equipment and we got vehicles. And this is just like super unique in that way is that we're combining these 2 into one deck and we're reducing crew cost and equip cost. So something like Colossus Hammer is going to be awesome in here and something like those like Consulate Dreadnought that costs
Crew 7 or something.
It's Crew 7 is also just going to be a Crew 1. Like there's just a ton of like silly cards that people love playing already. This guy puts them together into one deck.
Even more so than SRAM. SRAM just says draw some cards. This gives you actively pulls you towards both types. It's like play both of the types. You're going to be happy you did. And obviously you could just pick one. But I like where this card's doing. I'm picking up what it's laying down.
Yeah, exactly. 10 for art. Another one of these great stained glass art. Just looks stellar. It's some of these like legends who like I don't know who they are at all. They have no business being this cool are that cool.
Yeah, this is another character that we assumed was dead, but was actually alive the whole time. This is a big war hero. Lots of titles. You can go look him up if you want. Grandfather of Rada, which is notable, never died. And he captains the Argosy, which is that rare vehicle that flickers your team.
Yeah, that I gave too low of a grade, but that's not important here. Next, we have another character.
Who was alive the whole time.
That was alive the whole time, but easily could have been dead. It's Zur Eternal Schemer, above Blim, below Lightpaws at 220. Zur cares about enchantment creatures. Super cool, super unique commander. Yeah, we have a ton of things that care about enchantment, but do we have any cards that want to play Hateful Eidolon? No, this is like one of the first decks that ever wants to play that card.
I love everything about this, other than Hexproof is going to be a slog. It's going to be not super fun to play against. You got to kill Zur ASAP because he's going to mess you up.
Yeah, because he's going to get hexproof, and then it's just not going to be. That's not going to be super fun. That's the thing that keeps us from being super fun. Actually, I don't know if you know this. It says in the lore, he's immortal.
For all the times Zur's been around, he has almost no story. He like stumbled into a cave and now is immortal.
Now, okay, let's talk about both Zur's art. The one on screen right now, because we put the best one on screen for you to see, is the awesome awesome art, stained glass. It's amazing, 10 out of 10. His other art, he looks like a cartoon character. What is going on with his face? Like this, like, for lack of a better term, I'm going to swear once. So this is like the kids, plug your ears. He's got a shit-eating grin on his face because it is like ridiculous. I don't even get what is going on. That grin, that face, that shape is so weird.
He reminds me of like a Jim Carrey character, or maybe like the villain from that one show with the puppets. I don't even remember what. Like, you know the one?
No.
It's like where they're all exercising, and there was that stupid meme with the villain. You know the meme?
Dude,
We are number one. That stupid meme.
I am so far from anything.
You're so off.
I am not picking up what you're putting down at all.
The memesters out there picking up what I'm putting down.
Okay.
And it kind of looks like that. Can we just move on to one of the funniest flavor
I don't know.
legends?
We just did one of the funniest ones.
Well, it's Zira the Golden Sting, 210. Above Doretti, below Azuri, and she's gonna snick you with her stinger, and you're gonna burst into babies, insect babies. Who have suits on and are like riding bikes and stuff.
Don't worry, because this character, like always, was killed by Tetsuo. Another one. Tetsuo just killed a bunch of people.
Tetsuo has body count.
But yep, definitely does.
Dead body count.
Yeah. Well, I guess she was working for Ramsey, so that makes sense. Infected Ki? Who's Ki?
Ki Takahashi, remember from an hour and a half ago with the babies, and then he died?
No, I don't remember.
You know, it's tough.
This thing is a absolute 10 for art. One, it's super goofy, and look at this token.
Oh my god! She's in formal wear too.
She's in formal wear, and she makes this token that's like informal wear.
It makes me really like Zira. The original legend was so interesting because it was so kooky. It's like, this is a butterfly, and now it's like, oh, okay.
It's a weird butterfly lady that like it plants you. Ugh.
Yeah, it does a lot of different things. It's a cool mid-range deck. Joe might actually build it.
Yeah, it's super unique. Yeah, this card is definitely a very unique card. Like, it wants you to play spot removal. It's hasty.
Right, it's like a Cheval type design.
It reminds me exactly of Cheval, but we don't have many things like Cheval.
We're getting to those final best legends in the set. We got Solkanar the Tainted at 191, above Mavinda and below Venser. This is kind of like a demonic pact toned way down, but it's kind of cool. Obviously not very good, but you're like, take the great modes for myself. Now I'm going to find a way to reset the contract before my opponent gets it.
Yeah, bring it back to your side. However you can do that. This card is really, really sweet. 10 for fun. You're going to, like you said, you play this undercosted beater, get all these abilities, and then you end up giving it away. Let's skip that part. That's the whole deck.
There's tension, too.
Let's sacrifice it. Let's bring it back to the battlefield. Let's keep using it over and over again. 10 for uniqueness. This is the demonic pack style, right? That kind of thing where it's all good stuff until it's bad stuff. And with that, we get a unique card.
Yeah, and this was, I didn't know, I'm happy to know this. Force of Nature, that old card, that's basically Solkanar. Dihada corrupted it.
I did not know that. Cool.
And it was benevolent. And legend says if Dihada dies, Solkanar goes back to normal.
Solkanar will return to the Force of Nature?
Yeah, apparently he's like cursed, but obviously he's horrendously evil now.
Is he still alive? He is still alive, right?
Actually, you're going to love this. It was live the whole time.
Crazy. How many characters is this? Like 10?
You know who almost dies on Dominaria but was actually alive the whole time?
Who?
And we actually thought was dead? Shield Red of the Apocalypse. She's coming in above Jinga Taxi's Progress Tyrant. That's funny. And below, spoiler, at number 146. She's a 4-mana 4/5 with Death Touch. Drains your opponents for 2 when they draw and gains you 2 when you draw. Super simple. Super strong, kind of annoying, not very fun to play against because they're going to be spamming card draw, especially in the command zone, which is what we're talking about.
100%. This card's going to be really annoying. It's going to limit you on playing the game. And cards that limit you on playing the game tend to be fun to play against, which is completely fair.
It adds up quick in the command zone.
This stained glass art is maybe the best one of the whole set.
I wish I could give it more than 10. It sums up the entire story and is creepy and just is so good.
It's incredible. It is an incredible art. It looks so good.
Best art in the set, I would say.
It is definitely. It's one of, if not the best.
Tough to beat.
I mean, and we all these Praetors, the Phyrexians are so cool. They're one of the coolest villains ever made in Magic: The Gathering.
They're one of the coolest fictional things that I even can think of.
Yeah, Phyrexians are super cool, and they're evil.
They're real bad.
They're real bad.
Yeah, so if you want to go check out the full Shieldred lore, there's plenty of it. The Cliff Notes is she built a sleeper agent army on Dominaria. She completed a Johnny behind the scenes, maybe with the reality chip. I don't know. Could split into multiple spiders. That's how she rebuilt her body. She could like detach from whatever monster she was on, but also I think her body itself could split into a bunch of little spiders. And with completing a Johnny, he destroyed the Silex, which Karn needs to destroy the Phyrexians. Well, that's gone. And then she kidnapped Karn after Johnny punched a hole in his chest because Karn can't win a fight. And now Teferi has to go back in time to figure out how to use the Silex, which they can copy because the notes were in Jaya's pocket. How about a pirate?
Well, it's actually Ramirez DiPietro, Pillager, above Shieldred, and below Chief Jim Hopper from Stranger Things.
Real sentences.
At 145. All right, when this gay pirate enters the battlefield, you get 2 treasures and lose 2 life. And then whenever your pirates hit, so if you can do it like if you hit every player with 1 pirate, you will exile the top cards of all their libraries and you can just play them. Not while he's on the battlefield, meaning you don't have to have him on the battlefield. The thing about pirates is they care about treasures a lot, meaning you can just get the treasures to pay for them, and he gives you 2 right away. This card is really sweet. It's going to get you a lot of card advantage. There's a lot of derpy little pirates that you put down for like 1 mana, 1/1 flyers, like cloud pirates, that are just going to be great in this deck.
Yeah, I wish they didn't really tack on the treasure part, because I think that actually is what's going to make this not so fun to play against. Because, people out there are going to be like, I can play Nadier's Nightblade and Deadeye Navigator. And it's like, cool, I guess we lose. Kind of wanted to play against a fun pirate deck, but whatever. I mean, that's going to be rare, but keep it in mind, because that's kind of what treasures do, or at least, mana positive ETBs. But this is an example of a little bit of lore going a very long way.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really need to know much. Gay pirate, looks 15, sounds ancient.
Yep.
Ancient? Why ancient?
That's what it says.
Why does he sound ancient?
On the wiki.
Lies about his age. Spirit is popular among pirates who aren't prejudiced against dead people. Is that a common thing?
That's a direct quote.
Is that common among pirates?
I don't know.
It seems like
if you're not prejudiced among the dead, you're gonna have a great time, because his ghost is basically just out joining random crews and partying for centuries. You did actually. We thought Ramirez DiPietro was dead, but he was a ghost the whole time.
Oh, thank God.
Does Ramirez DiPietro, a creature we've barely known anything about and who's never mattered, does it need 3 cards? Apparently it does.
No, it does, because, it's one of the beloved old legends. Because
it is.
People really did like Ramirez DiPietro.
I think the whole idea is hilarious. I just think it's funny that, like, Rada has 4 or 5 legends now, and this thing has 3.
These are the characters that we know.
And we have 2 Shieldreds just now.
Yeah.
1 Elsnor.
Only. Up next is Joda, the Unifier. Above Ao, below Zakama at 112. All right, Joda is powerful. This is 5 color. Legends matter. Your legends basically cascade, but you can only hit legends. What is this card?
And it coat of arms your legends.
Your legends. If you have 3 legends out, your legends all get +3/+3.
Assuming Joda is the 4th legend?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. What is going on? This card is so powerful. Your board is going to get absolutely overwhelmingly big like that. It's going to take no time. This is going to be super fun. It's going to be your legends matters deck. But this is only unique because 1, it coat of arms, and 2, it's cascading into legends. I don't know. This card is a lot.
Yeah, the cascading and the pumping more so than the actual word legends on it. This thing, I wonder if we'll have to go back and make this higher than a 6. It's one of those cards that the cascade, I think, might not matter much, because it's going to be one of those things that, like, it's going to make 36 power. So you can't let it resolve or you're going to lose. It just doesn't have to be in play. Build your board first. Now they can attack because you untapped 36 power. You're dead. Like,
yeah, but you get but the thing is, like, you're saying it doesn't matter, but it's the flip. If you need to do the opposite, you can do the opposite.
Start your board state with Joda on turn 3 or 4, and now you just get all the things in there. Coat of Arms, really good card.
It's extremely silly. It is a silly good Magic card. 5 colors, so you get access to any legend you want. So make your deck whatever you want.
My only advice when playing against this is mercilessly and unrelentlessly kill it.
I absolutely love the stained glass art with all 5 colors.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet. It's really sweet.
Predictable, but sweet. Now, who would have thought, speaking of predictable, that the second best legend would be an uncommon? Huh? Wrath Capuchin, Weatherlight Stalwart, above Merkel, below Volo at 107. He's a 2-mana 2/2. When you cast an instant or sorcery, you can tap 2 creatures you control to draw a card. And you can even pay 5 mana to pump your team and give them Vigilance.
So, yeah, what's going on here is we want to cast instant sorceries that make creatures.
There's plenty.
And then tap those creatures and draw cards. This is in the command zone. That is what makes this card so good.
Cheap.
Your whole deck is built around this card. I don't know what happened since last time. All Raph cared about was Flash last time, and he stopped caring about Flash, and now he cares about casting instant sorceries.
He can't even fly anymore.
I don't know.
He learned how to fly, and now he can't.
Well, maybe the Weatherlights will make him fly.
Oh.
There's no more Weatherlights. He can't fly in that no more.
Yeah, sorry, Raph, about that. This card is great. It really pairs well, I want to say, with like any Talrand. Talrand's in this is just, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to draw a ton of cards. You get to play a ton of stinky little, like, raise the alarm cards that aren't very good because they're going to cantrip, draw you cards, and give you more creatures to cantrip and draw cards with.
Hard evidence. Get in my deck.
Exactly. Like, these cards that aren't very good, when they turn into cantrips, they are a lot better.
You're going to have trouble stopping this deck, especially when they decided to pack some counterspells.
Yeah, we'll see. We have a 10 for fun. That's something that could change. If it's a counterspell of your deck that's just not fun to play against, well,
we'll be upping it in power and then shrinking the fun.
Yeah, which is totally reasonable to do for this card. What's the story?
Oh, the story. Yeah, he's a descendant of Gerard, and he helped free Braids. He didn't do a whole lot. He was kind of in the group, so I'm sure he's helping out, casting healing magic. I know that's something he did. But Raph, not a key player in this story.
Oh, so is Raph related to Danath?
They're both Capishans. They're distant relatives of Gerard. They don't have to be related.
Okay, fair enough. Well, they are related. They just
Right, they don't have to be like brother-sister.
That's
but
fair.
We are on to the best commander from the set, Cherries.
Now, does anyone know who it is? Take your guess, because
you should know, technically.
You technically could know, but also keeping track of this is nonsensical.
You know which 74 it's not. But what it happens to be is Soul of Windgrace at rank 48 overall of all legendaries ever, above Nicol Bolas the Ravager and below Lord Windgrace. This is a 4-mana 5/4. It's giving you lands back just right when it enters or attacks, and you can discard lands 3 different ways to do 3 different abilities, one of which protects this thing.
Yeah, exactly. This thing's going to be really annoying to kill. It puts lands in your graveyard. It gets them back. It doesn't even need a land in your graveyard. Get it out of your opponent's graveyard.
I love that random part.
Yeah, this thing is aggressively costed. It is a 5/4 for 4. It just keeps getting stuff back. Give it some evasion. This card's going to be good. It's not the most fun because it's what are you going to do? You're just going to ramp. It doesn't really give you too crazy much of a direction, but it's still a great Magic card. Both arts, so good. The original art is like, it's good, and then the other art's like, oh, Windgrace, you majestic being.
For somebody who's been dead this whole time, he's looking really good because actually he was around. His soul is protecting Urborg, and it kind of sprung up to fight the Phyrexians, which is pretty sweet. He's got a bunch of lore. He's a really old character. He's one of the 9 Titans. He sealed some rifts. He saved everybody. I think he was a pre-mending planeswalker, and just super powerful. And he's a little cat.
Yeah, and
he plays with yarn.
And also, even though he was part of the Titan Project, he's always hated Urza.
He hates Urza, which is fair. You should hate Urza.
Because Urza's a big jerk.
Yeah, and this card just hits every mark. It's super good. One of the best legends ever, I guess, in terms of all these 5 categories.
Yep. All right. So
if you like this video, I would say that you would also like our full set review of Dominaria United, because we talk about every card that isn't a commander. After that, you'll have this whole set done, and you'll know everything about everything.
Peace out, Tribe Scouts.